Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here with our second set of bowl games before we move on to individual bowl game prediction videos. And guys, this next set of games, we've got some really intriguing matchups. But before we jump into it, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including the holiday special that's going to give you the spread picks for every single bowl game this college football season. Every single one over on the gridironexpert.com. The holiday special will also give you every single NFL playoff game spread pick. So do not miss out on that, guys. Every football postseason pick is going to be on the gridironexpert.com. We also have our Bowl Mania group. You have a few more days to sign up on our ESPN Bowl Pick'em group so you can compete against me and hundreds of others of our GE Nation members over on ESPN. So go check it out. The link for both those are down in the description below. We got the holiday special and the ESPN Bowl Pick'em group. We'd love for you to sign up for both of those and become a member of our GE Nation. So let's take a look at these next 6 games as we continue to progress through bowl season. We'll start over in the Camellia Bowl with Arkansas State and Northern Illinois. What a matchup here. A-State, guys, in their first bowl game since 2019. That game also happened to be the Camellia Bowl. Northern Illinois, kind of an interesting run for them. They started the year at 1-4, but went 5-2 down the stretch. So it was a really good turnaround for the Huskies. And A-State, just a big year for them regardless after so many bad years under Butch Jones. Unfortunately, both these teams are going to have a lot of opt-outs. So is the bowl season now. So many people transferring out. So many people opting out. A-State, they're going to be without their second leading tackler and Javonte Mackey. Northern Illinois, going to be without one of their best wide receivers and return mans and Trayvon Rudolph. And here's the thing. Northern Illinois, there's a good chance with the loss of Rudolph that the Huskies are going to come into this game with no active wide receiver that has more than 10 catches this year. They're going to be very depleted in the wide receiver core. You look at Arkansas State, they have a rising star in their quarterback in Jalen Rayner, who has over 2,200 passing yards and 15 touchdowns, also has over 300 rushing yards on the year as well. And if the Red Wolves can just play through Rayner, they can utilize his dual threat ability, wear down that Huskies defense. I don't expect much production from Rocky Lombardi and this Huskies offense. I don't expect them to get much going. Arkansas State plays through their mobile quarterback, sells out on the run defensively, and I think they can win this game. So give me Arkansas State, and what is practically a pick'em to beat Northern Illinois, a large part of that due to the fact that the Huskies are going to be very depleted on the offensive side of the ball. Take a look at the world famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Georgia State and Utah State. Again, 2 teams that have kind of had an interesting run this season. Georgia State, it looked like they were going to be legitimate Sun Belt title contenders. Looked like they could be a dangerous team starting the year 6-1, but then lost their final 5 games. So a horrible way to end the year for the Panthers. Utah State, they were 1-3 at one point, 3-5 actually at one point, then went 3-1 down the stretch to clinch bowl eligibility. That ended with a 2 overtime victory over New Mexico. And this is a pure clash of styles when it comes down to it. Georgia State is a very run-heavy team. Utah State is probably a little bit more pass-happy, but a little bit more balanced than anything else. And you take a look at Georgia State. They've got so many opt-outs, so many things that are going to really hurt their chances in this bowl game. They're going to be without their star running back in Marcus Carroll, over 1,300 yards. He's entering the transfer portal. They're going to be without their backup running back, KZ Adams. They're going to be without their number 1 wide receiver and Robert Lewis, 877 yards, 7 touchdowns, along with a handful of other players on the offensive line and in the secondary. Guys that are entering the transfer portal more than likely not going to play in these games. So Georgia State offensively extremely depleted. That run-heavy offense we just talked about ain't going to be so run-heavy anymore when you don't have the running backs to lead it. They do have Darren Granger. Love him at quarterback. He's been phenomenal for the Panthers over the course of his career. He's a dangerous passer, has improved over the course of his career, can also utilize his dual threat ability as well. That's really all Georgia State's going to have coming into this game. Utah State, on the other hand, they are fully loaded. They don't really have any players opting out. Don't really have any players on either side. They're going to deplete this team. And the Aggies guys are going to be led by a future Navy SEAL in Levi Williams, leading an offense that's averaging 260 passing yards per game. The Panthers are giving up nearly 300 passing yards per game. So the way I look at it is the Aggies come in here. They've got home field advantage. Obviously, Utah to Idaho, a lot closer than Georgia to Idaho. They're going to have a better passing attack, obviously, than the Panthers are going to have. And I think their defense is going to have just enough to slow down whatever the Panthers try to throw at them, even though they're not going to be at full strength. The game's going to be relatively close, but give me the Aggies to win this game and clinch a winning season under Blake Anderson. The 68 Ventures Bowl, South Alabama and Eastern Michigan. This one is pretty much a home game for South Alabama, no doubt about it. And that's good. They need this. The Jaguars need this after a very disappointing year. This was a season that many thought South Alabama could challenge for a Sun Belt title. They were loaded with so much experience. Beat Oklahoma State in dominating fashion early in the year, started 2-1, and then finished 6-6. Didn't even sniff a conference championship. So this was not the year that many people envisioned for South Alabama. But to me, this is a no-brainer. Pick the Jaguars to win and move on with your life. I just don't see any way Eastern Michigan can win this game. Yes, the Jaguars are going to be without their top wide receiver in Colin Lacey, 91 receptions, over 1,300 yards. That's a huge, huge loss on offense. They've still got a veteran quarterback in Carter Bradley, a very solid running back core, and they're also averaging over 10 points per game more than Eastern Michigan. The Eagles have an abysmal offense. It's a down bad offense for Eastern Michigan. And now they're going to be doing this game without their starting quarterback in Austin Smith. They're going to turn to Ike Udengwu II, who can run the ball, sure, adds an extra element to the offense, but has only attempted 28 passes so far this year. They're not going to have their sack leader on defense in Micah Coleman. The Eastern Michigan offense, guys, is 131st in the entire nation, and that was when they had their starting quarterback under center. They're not going to have that this time around. South Alabama should run away with this game. The setting is right for them. The offense is better. The defense is better. Give me the Jaguars to win big in the 68 Ventures Bowl. The Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina, San Jose State, both 7-5 teams. Unfortunately, this game not being played on Christmas Eve like we've had so many years in the past. NFL Sunday, kind of mixing that up a little bit. We got a fun one out in Hawaii. Look at Coastal Carolina. This is a team that, in a way, has had a disappointing year under Tim Beck, right? Started 2-3. They did win at Appalachian State. Many people thought that would turn things around. They got to 7-3 and then lost their last 2 games. So many thought Coastal Carolina easily could have had a 8, 9, maybe 10-win season, and they fell short at 7-5. San Jose State, what a turnaround for the Spartans. They were 1-5 at one point this year and then won their last 6 games. Final 6 games. So what a run for the Spartans. Take a look at Coastal Carolina. They're down a lot of people. Grayson McCall transferring out. Jarrett Guest not going to be there as well. So the Chanticleers are going to go with Ethan Vasco at quarterback, who did start the final 3 games. So he's not your typical third-string quarterback. He has plenty of experience. He's going to be prepped heading into this Hawaii Bowl. He went 55 for 88, 579 yards, and 4 touchdowns in those 3 games. They do lose their number 2 wide receiver, though, in Jared Brown, over 740 yards. San Jose State, they lose their number 2 pass catcher in Dominic Mazzotti, but that's about it. That's about it. Outside of that, the Spartans are pretty healthy and are going to be pretty much at full strength. And they're a team, guys, that's averaging 198 passing yards a game and 198 rushing yards per game. You can't get any more even than that. Spartans have a very, very balanced offense. They have a veteran quarterback in Shevin Cordiero. They have a veteran running back in Kyrie Robinson, who has over 1,100 yards on the year. Coastal's allowing over 168 rushing yards per game. I do think this game is relatively close. I think people are going to look at this and say, no Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina doesn't have a chance. I think Ethan Vasco keeps them in this game. But ultimately, you can't pick against the Spartans. They've won 6 straight games. The offense is clicking on all cylinders. And the defense does feast on a relatively depleted Coastal Carolina offense. I'm not saying San Jose State wins big time, but they are going to win this game and clinch an 8-win season. Big time win for San Jose State. First Responder Bowl, Texas State and Rice, an in-state game. First Responder Bowl in Dallas, pitting 2 Texas teams against each other. This is going to be a fun one. What a year for Texas State. What a year for them. G.J. Kinney comes in, first year with the Bobcats, and gets them to a bowl game. Unbelievable. They're playing in their first ever bowl game. First year as the head coach at the FBS level. He leads them to their first ever bowl appearance. And the beauty of this game, guys, is both teams are going to be at relatively full strength. The only big thing to note is that JT Daniels will not be playing for Rice. He's retiring from football for medical reasons, but he hasn't really played for Rice over the last month or so. So this isn't a major loss for the Owls. Not like a new revelation for them. But you take a look at both these teams. How did Texas State get to a bowl game this year? They did it through the transfer portal, and they did it through an electric offense. It's averaging 36 points per game, 273 passing yards per game, 191 rushing yards per game, led by former SEC quarterback TJ Finley, who's thrown for over 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns, and Ismail Mahdi, who has over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. This Texas State offense is very, very difficult to slow down. They are fast, they are efficient, and have been one of the best, not just in the Sun Belt, but statistically in the country. Rice, on the other hand, they had to turn to A.J. Padgett at quarterback when J.T. Daniels went down. He started the final 3 games, went 2-1 in those games, had 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 255 yards, and 3 touchdowns in their final game to give Rice bowl eligibility. Texas State, guys, you look at this. You can break it down. Texas State, they've got the offensive edge. Rice, to me, owns the defensive edge. But to me, Texas State, their weakness defensively is in their secondary. That's where they're weak. And right now, I don't have faith in A.J. Padgett coming out there and just torching this Texas State secondary. I think you could see a shootout in Dallas, but I like Texas State and the Bobcats to get their first ever bowl victory. And what a year for G.J. Kinney, who in a few years will be a head coach at a Power 5 program, I can tell you that. And then finally, guys, Toledo, Wyoming, Arizona Bowl. This is a classic motivation game. This is what it ultimately comes down to. You deal with opt-outs, you deal with transfers. Then we start to think about motivation as well. So many aspects we have to start taking into account now in bowl season. It used to not be this way, but that's just the way college football is now. Toledo, they're 11-2. You look at records and you go, Toledo wins, no doubt about it. And we say that's where you're wrong. Toledo lost the MAC championship to Miami, Ohio, missed out on their possible slim chance of playing in a New Year's Six bowl game. Now their star quarterback, DeQuan Finn, is transferring out. Tucker Gleason is going to be their quarterback. Went 14 for 21, 199 yards and 4 touchdowns this year. A lot of it just coming up in garbage time. Toledo, guys, they're a good team. They're a good team, but I don't trust them. I don't trust them. Toledo has won 5 games this year by 1 possession. For a team that is so experienced and has so much talent, they really never did their job. They had too many close games. They faltered majorly in the MAC championship to Miami, Ohio, did not play to their potential. Wyoming, they have played to their potential. And to make matters better for them, they are now playing in Craig Bohl's last ever game. Craig Bohl announced this would be his last game at Wyoming before retiring. Last game ever before retiring. So the Cowboys, you know, are going to be fired up, wanting to send off their head coach on a high. The Cowboys have won 3 of their last 4 games. I believe they can dominate the trenches in this game. They have a very efficient quarterback in Andrew Peasley, who has thrown 20 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. They have a very dominant running back in Harrison Whaley. Wyoming wins this game. Toledo's going to blame motivation. I don't really care. Wyoming, to me, shows up, shows out. Toledo can't stop them, just like Toledo couldn't stop Miami, Ohio. Wyoming plays a very similar style of ball. Cowboys get the win, and Craig Bohl rides off into the sunset with 1 final win and a 9-win season to conclude his career. So there you have it, guys. This was our last major bowl set. Starting tomorrow, we start breaking down games individually. Individual bowl videos. We're going to have you covered every step of the way. Again, predicting every single bowl game as promised. We're really, really excited to keep this thing going, keep the ball rolling, and to continue to progress through Bowl Mania. But as we continue to do that, you should continue to like, to comment, to subscribe, to share the video, and to check out everything down in the description below, including the holiday special over on thegridironexpert.com, so you can access the spread picks for every single one of these college football bowl games. Every single bowl game spread pick is going to be there. Every single NFL playoff game spread pick is going to be there. Go sign up for those today. Check out our Bowl Mania group so you can compete against us. Down in the description below, the link for that is there. It's free to join, so we would love for you to do that and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.